Hello, hello, friends, and welcome to today's Top Leaders. I'm excited to talk to you today about the power of moving our bodies and taking care of ourselves. And we've got a really great guest with us today. We've got Rachel Dreikosen. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, Jen. How are you doing today?
Oh, good. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, everybody, I'm going to share with you a little bit about Rachel, and then we're going to jump into this conversation. And it'll be very quickly apparent to you why I've had her as a guest on today. So Rachel directs Intel Corporation's business with government and education in the Midwest. She strives to bring the deep technical and experiential resources of Intel to support informed technology investments across 6 pillars of digital transformation: edge computing, data analytics and AI, multi-hybrid cloud, cybersecurity, data management, and advanced communications. Ms. Dreikosen is passionate about developing a local pipeline of leaders in technology. In addition to her role at Intel, she serves on Michigan State University's advisory board for electrical and computer engineering. She volunteers teaching computer science to underserved high schools in the Detroit area and is also a member of the MySTEM Computer Science Advisory Board for the state of Michigan. Rachel is a founding member of the Michigan Council of Women in Technology's Elevate program, which focuses on advancing women early in their leadership path. Rachel has 11 years of sales and business development experience in technology. She joined Intel in 2017 to spearhead Intel's field approach to automotive memory and storage products in Detroit, Michigan. Rachel graduated from Michigan State University with a BS in computer engineering. She is currently pursuing her Master of Science in Law at Northwest University. And again, thank you for joining me, Rachel. So good to have you.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, for sure. I love that you're doing great things and you're smart, and I love it. So before we get into all the smart things, let's talk about some kind of goofy things. So some rapid fire questions for you. First of all, salty or sweet?
Salty.
All right. I'm anyhow, yeah. Chips and salsa, that's my game. All right. What's your favorite book today?
To this particular day?
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Come Up for Air. It's my
Okay.
favorite book right now.
Nice.
Like 90% of the way through it. So.
Good. I like it. It's awesome. All right. And if you're going to go somewhere right now, I could travel today to go somewhere. Where would you want to go?
I would want to go to Vernazza, Italy with my family.
Okay, that's very specific. I like that.
Yes. I want to climb up those million stairs to my Airbnb with a cat in the window. I'm ready for it again.
I love that. Very specific. I like it. Good. And what's your favorite song of all time?
Oh man. Of all time, Du Hast by Rammstein for sure.
Okay. So eclectic.
The first one that came to my head.
That's so good. I love it. Okay. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Slow walkers.
That's funny. It's very ironic considering what we're talking about. All right. And then favorite movie. Pick the one all-time favorite.
The Matrix, no question.
Of course. Kind of had a feeling you were going to say that. Oh, so good. And it's just, it keeps going. All that Matrix love, it's still out there.
Never and ever.
Yes, for sure. So, okay. So for those of you who don't know, Rachel actually was a client of mine. We had the wonderful opportunity of helping her to determine her personal brand. And then now she's leveraging it. So Rachel, tell us, what is your personal brand statement?
Yeah, my personal brand statement is a movement mindset.
Awesome. I love it. And how are you leveraging that? What is that doing for you?
So having a movement mindset at the top of my mind, at the top of my LinkedIn profile, just at the subject line of my day, so to speak, keeps me focused on what I know. It reminds me what I know helps me function best, and helps me show up authentically at work. Because I do have I'm a woman of many passions and interests. So keeping focused, keeping focused on the thing that helps me show up the best, instead of trying to chameleon to fit in other people's, what I think other people might want, helping me show up authentically.
I love that. Authenticity is a big deal. And it's so, I can just imagine with, like you said, all the variety of things that you're doing. So I just read this amazing bio of yours, right? You're helping out in the community, you're doing things at work and whatnot. And then separate from that, meanwhile, back at the ranch, you're married, wonderful little daughter, right? So all these other things. And so there's a lot of things about you, but also let's talk about this whole movement part, because I know that as we were going through the coaching, there was this element of how important moving your body is to you personally, right? And what that does for you. So let's talk about that for a little bit, because as leaders are listening to today's top leaders, listening to this episode, they themselves, they are also busy, right? They also have work and family and kids and all these different things, right? No matter what all that looks like, there's a lot going on in people's lives. But let's talk about movement and what this does for people. But let's start with you first and your story about what movement's doing to help you.
Sure. So me personally, when I am feeling low or feeling overwhelmed or feeling not right, guaranteed it's because I haven't moved energy through my body appropriately in the last couple of days or even the last week. I sometimes I go through stints where I'm really into one thing. I get my yoga teaching certification and then I just never do yoga again. I fitness model for one gym because I'm lifting really heavy and my good genes, so my muscles look great. And then I never go back to that gym again because I'm on to the next thing, right? So it's like a double-edged sword of movement mindset. I'm always trying to move my body in new and challenging ways. And that keeps me feeling fresh. It keeps me learning something new. And it keeps me healthy.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for normalizing right now that it's okay to change your mind on how you want to move your body.
That's until I gave myself permission to do whatever made me feel best. I was feeling guilty. I'm like, oh man, I didn't really like that, but I don't want to look like a quitter. I don't want to look like a failure. I'll go do the next thing. I'll do great at it. And if it brings me more joy, much better situation for all of us.
Right. Absolutely. Yes, please. More joy, joy in this journey of ours, much different for all of us. In fact, I was just, as you were talking, I was thinking about that statement that you have on the board behind you, that life's hard and to choose your hard. Right. And so, and it's like, okay, if we know like taking care of our bodies is hard, like it's a thing, right?
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah. So, but choose and you can change your mind.
You can change your mind. You can trick yourself. I think that something I learned from you when we were going through our process was that as long as you understand yourself and what works for you, it removes a lot of the shame and the guilt.
Yeah.
And you can feel free to experiment. Yeah, things are going to be tough. Like I hate brushing my teeth, but I brush my teeth anyway. And I trick myself by putting it in the shower. So I'm like, oh, well, now I save some time. Look at me being productive. Like we're going to have to do things we don't want to do. And I think a lot of people I think anybody who has a regular or semi-regular fitness regimen will say, when it's just getting started and body at rest stays at rest, body in motion stays in motion.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I hear you on that. When I'm just wanting to talk a little bit about how are you leveraging movement to help you with navigating your day and the ups and the downs of the work day and whatnot? What's movement helping you in that area?
That's a great question, because I've been struggling with that a little bit over the past month or so. I've been struggling with that for a little bit over the past month. So when I'm overloaded with stress and I think, oh, I just can't get up, I've got to keep going, I've got to keep pushing, I have been having a trouble with, all right, I'm just going to take a nap. I'll just be down for an hour and then I'll be refreshed. And that's like, I'm running away from the stress by going to sleep and shutting down. And what is more helpful is, even if, some people go for a run to process stuff. Some people meditate to process stuff. And if you need to sleep, you need to sleep. But I'm trying to be more aware of the difference in how I feel after the nap versus the difference in how I feel after I've gone outside and walked around the block.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
there's
a
a big difference.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and I think about even in the, like in the span of a month, especially for any woman that's watching this, if you're menstruating, you're going to have monthly like there's going to be ups and downs in your energy level anyhow, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, and by the way, all the men who are listening to this, there's ups and downs for women if you weren't aware of this.
FYI.
Yeah, just in case you hadn't picked up on
Fun
that.
fact.
Yeah, there you go. Now you know, and now you're gonna be like, oh, that's why she's a little bit more crankier this week than last week. And so, but it's there's like this, this evolution. But I also think about how like there's seasons.
Yes.
I mean, like there's winter, there's the take a break.
Yeah.
There's the spring, it's like the stretching and the moving and the hope for the new. And then there's the summer, the full production, and then the fall. Okay, we're at harvest and we're going to start getting ready for that rest season, And so I love thinking about that even in my personal life, but it even can show up in the space of a month. Like even, if people notice, like, by the way, there's a full moon and then it kind of changes, so it's the same thing. Like there's this evolution of stuff constantly around us. But then like we as human beings, we're like, everything has to stay the same every day.
Oh yeah, I've got my routine. I've been to the gym. This is not me talking. I've been gym 5 a.m. since I was born, and then I eat at 4 p.m. and then I wake up at 3 a.m. Like I hooray for people who are able to do that consistently. But I do find that my happiness, my success, and my ability to show up with my brain at work and bringing my best ideas comes from moving myself around whenever I feel whenever I feel like going hard, I go hard. Whenever I feel like taking a walk, I take a walk. But something get moving.
Yeah, I love that. I know it's so important. I like to exercise. I like the dopamine hit.
Right. I think that's a really important part of it too. Yeah, it's a really important part of it too, especially as more and more people are getting diagnosed with dopamine deficient type of neurological diseases or neurological, we're not supposed to call them diseases. I have them, so I understand. People are getting diagnosed with more and more dopamine deficient issues. We forget that a big part of our happiness and development of that happy feeling really comes from moving your body around. I think was it like Reese Witherspoon, Legally Blonde? Yeah. People who exercise, happy people don't shoot their husbands. There we go.
Oh, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Oh, definitely. That makes 100% sense. For sure. Because when mama ain't happy, nobody happy. For sure. And so it's ironic that you just said a moment ago that this last month, maybe you haven't been moving as much, as you'd like to and whatnot, because the last couple of weeks, my back, I did something to it and I just ticked it off. And it's not happy. It's my lower back. And I'm like, okay. Anyhow, I think I overdid it on the spin bike and then didn't do the proper stretching. And so like all like my psoas and all that, like the stuff, these are all the muscles and the things.
I was like, what's your psoas?
Yeah, it's the part that comes from like your inner thigh and then it wraps up around your hip. If you think if you're sitting on a bike, you know, and you're spinning and your legs are going like this, like you're causing issues. And so anyhow, I was at the massage therapist who works at a chiropractor's office. So she's one of those kind of kick your butt, you know, massage therapist people. And she she was like, it was more stretching than like nice, helpful massage, but the stretching was very helpful. But it's like, okay, I can't change the fact that my back is hurting right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I need to give it that little bit of time to rest. And so this last couple of weeks, it's kind of more of that season of we're going to rest, like that winter season, you know. And I've been doing heating pads and some really stretching. Do you ever use a roller ball?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And and then the foam roller too. Oh, good heavens. Right. It kind of kicks your butt in a really great way, right? It hurts so bad. It hurts so good kind of thing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and so, but I'm like, you know what? This is what my movement is right now.
Yep. Well, I mean, I'm so glad you were taking the time to rest and not trying to push through something.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us grew up with the, no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
Don't be a weenie. Push through. And there's certainly something to be said for pushing through a little bit of discomfort when there's growth. If a weight's heavier than you're used to, but as soon as you hurt yourself, stop, right? You've got to rest and recover. Otherwise you're just going to make things so much harder, so much harder in the future.
Absolutely. No, I'm totally seeing that. And it's interesting too. And I wanted to ask you about this for yourself, but like, even for me, I have a 7-year-old daughter. She's like wanting to still climb on me. You know, she comes running through the house and crashes into me, you know, Mama San, she calls me crash. And I'm like, child, you know, and I've told her 1,700 times, Mom's back's not really great right now. Like, it's not that I don't love you. It's not that I don't want the hugs, but can we approach it differently? Let's do it like this. But you know, it kind of makes me like, oh, I gotta be available for my kid. So if she wants to run into me, she can run into me. And I'm not like, you know, screaming in pain, you know? And so, but it's interesting how the physical part, how it can totally impact, you know, how you're doing in your personal life, at work, maybe things in the community, etc. I want you to talk about that a little bit too. Like, how have you noticed that affect you too?
Yeah, I've gone through a couple of periods of when I'm better at being, better at walking my talk and worse at walking my talk. And the periods in which I am continuing to move out of knowing that energy needs to go somewhere. Those periods where I'm kind to myself and I'm doing what is joyful, I notice that I'm able to stand longer. When I'm trying to network, I notice that I'm more confident in my own body. I'm not thinking about it as much. And I've got if I'm taking care of myself, going for those walks, going for those runs, doing those push-ups, whatever you're doing, if I'm continuing to do that at a pace that's appropriate, I'm happier. And it's easy for me to put my brain toward a problem and sit there and collaborate. Whereas when I've gone through periods where I'm hibernation mode, so to speak, feeling like, well, I don't need to do this, I've got too much on my plate, I'm gonna just take a break. By like week 2, everything feels exhausting. And I'll go to have a discussion with somebody about something really tricky, and I'll be like, I can't think about this right now. Like, let's do half an hour, when what the conversation really needs 90 minutes. Like, I can only get through half an hour, because the way that your body is using energy, when you keep it moving, your
Yeah.
brain kind of follows.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's not scientifically researched, that's just anecdotal how I work.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But
Which is fair. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I totally make sense. I like that. How you're just like, I'm literally exhausted. Like I can't think as much.
yeah,
So, yeah. And I think one thing that's really coming forward for me in this conversation is how important it is to listen to our bodies,
bingo.
right? And that's not a cookie cutter thing. Like I can't borrow from you, you can't borrow from me. You know what I mean? Like we have to listen to our bodies. But if we're running around Mach 10 all the time, constantly distracted by so many, like we don't create some of that quiet time. Like I think it's part of the reason why I like exercise too,
Yeah,
because it like takes me away, like I'm not in my office, I'm not working, I'm in a different place,
yeah,
and so then
yeah.
it's different.
No, I think that part's really important to the taking yourself away. So I know people that like to exercise. I am in fact most motivated to work out when I'm angry.
Mm.
Glorious, glorious workouts come from rage for me. Um, but when you're talking about things not fitting exactly, I'm not able to borrow from you, or we're not able to follow the same program, quote unquote, and get the same results. Um, eh, that part is so difficult for me to wrestle with sometimes. I accept that it's true, but I just want to, what's the solution? What is the bare minimum I can do to be healthy?
Yeah.
It's different for every single person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And 10,000 steps a day is just a guideline.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So listen to your body. And if you don't feel right, or you're hurt, act accordingly.
Yeah,
Take
exactly.
the time.
Right. Absolutely. And I think our bodies are also communicating other deeper emotional things too. And so it's
100%.
profound once you start learning and understanding more about that. Man, it's really, really insightful because our bodies are telling us like, I'm unhappy with this thing,
Yep.
that's going on. And a lot of times again, we're squishing down things. We're trying to cover it up with pick your favorite whatever thing in your life, you know what I mean? Because it's not necessarily like drugs or alcohol or something like that. It could be something that could be perceived as healthy, right? But we're constantly trying to like push things down and don't want to think about it, don't want to feel it.
Just keep going. Just
Right.
keep going. You'll be fine.
Right. Right. I know. It's really fascinating. You know that I'm very big about compassion. This is something you and I have talked about before, privately in our sessions and whatnot. But I want to talk about, in your perspective, how do you see the movement of our bodies as an act of compassion? What comes to mind for you around that?
I think I know we've talked about this before. But that's such a beautiful way to put it, or I'm not exercising or working out or running or lifting weight, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. I'm not doing it because I'm mad at myself, or I'm punishing my body for being too soft, or being too wide, or being not wide enough, or being, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I'm, if I'm looking at the movement as an act of love for self, like I'm grateful that I have the ability to move this way. And I am taking, but this is me taking care of myself. This is me telling my temple, my body, that's here with me on this earth. This act of moving is me honoring my body and having compassion for myself.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's so important. So how do we help others that we're around be it family members, work, coworkers, bosses, how do we help them to also have some compassion for their bodies?
Sorry, I'm hoping you can't hear my dog throwing a fit out there.
It's okay. It's fine. I hear a little bit, but you're good.
All right. So one thing I've been starting to do, and it's hard in the remote work environment. I know lots of people like to go on walks while they take conference calls. But I find that takes away from the ability to look at somebody on video. So what I've been starting to do is, instead of, and I'll still take walking conference calls if they're casual, but I've been trying to encourage more like active happy hours where my friends will, I'll ask them like, hey, can we go around? Like, let's put coffee and Bailey's in a cup and we'll just walk around the neighborhood together. Or we'll, can we, instead of going to lay by the pool, can we pick an activity that is mobile? Just looking for more ways to incorporate. It doesn't have to be heavy duty, but I think encouraging people to do it and normalizing it and saying like, this is my preferred way to hang out is the right way to, you don't want to be that friend that's like, all right, now we're going to the gym together.
Yeah.
When no one else has ever gone before.
Yeah.
Try to meet people halfway, but encourage everybody to participate with you in movement activities.
I love that. Have you ever had any experiences in the workplace where you've had leaders who've done anything like this?
Absolutely. I know a ton of leaders at Intel where I work. They are on the Peloton app, and
Nice.
they're all racing each other.
Yeah.
Sessions. I don't have one, so I feel bad, but it was out of my budget at the time. So, but there's a lot of, and we also have an app that the company pays for, where there are like challenges that we do, like, here are your 28-day yoga challenge. How many times can you do? And then you can see the different folks within your organization that are participating and cheer each other on. And for those of us that like to win at things, that's really handy.
Yeah. Gamification, it can always be a fun thing too. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really great. I think about, I've had many clients that they love to do their one-on-one meetings with their employees if they're in the same area, to go for a walk, if the weather is decent, even it's like, let's just get out of the office, let's just go walk. So walking and talking. So, but that's different because you can be there side by side talking about things, versus if you're working remotely and you have to be on Zoom and you're dealing with them.
Exactly.
That part too, but to take advantage of those. Yeah. No, there's opportunity for a lot of variety for sure. So, I feel like we could talk about a lot of different nuances about how important movement is. And so, but let's wrap this up. What's one thing that's really on your heart, Rachel, that you want people to know about movement?
Movement. One thing that's really on my heart. If it doesn't matter where you are at in your life, the moment to begin moving on a regular basis is now. The moment to, whether it's, again, a walk around the block, an extra 50 steps, whatever, it's now. Because the earlier we start moving and making that a part of our culture and the way we interact with other people, the easier it's going to be over time. The easier it's going to be for us to live long and healthy lives.
Yeah, I love that. Let's do it now.
Just now. Don't wait. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for 2024. Right now.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that. Isn't it like the New Year's resolutions? People are like, oh, I'm going to lose weight. And so they join the gym and the gym membership spikes. And then by the middle of February, it's already tapered off. So 6 weeks into it, people are like, nah, never mind.
Good.
Yeah, right. For sure. So it's like, but that's okay. Do something different. If that didn't work, find something else that works. So yeah, I love
and like
that.
you said, have compassion for yourself. And if you're if something's boring or starts giving you migraines, go do the next thing.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thanks again. I appreciate those comments because I think being vulnerable and normalizing that, hey, it doesn't feel good. It's not working. Then what other option do we have? There's lots of options. So what do you want to do? So,
Tons of
yeah,
options.
I know, right? I know when you think about it nowadays, like there's so many, so many options. So we can try different things. So good. Awesome. Well, go reach to the top of that leaderboard on those apps. You have a good time with all that stuff. I love it. As if you need anything. Yeah, exactly. Gamify that thing. Awesome. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing some thoughts about movement and what that can do for people so that they can really grow in development. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Jen.
Thank you.